Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's Season 5, Episode 6, and we're very much looking forward to this one, although there's a few nerves about as well. We're managing our first game in charge of Barnsley. Although it's on a match day, technically it's a game in hand for both teams, and it's also a relegation six-pointer. We've got Cardiff down at Oakwell, in heavy snow apparently. Ryan Giggs is in charge, and we've got to try and produce a miracle. But before we do that, we've got to complete part 2 of the introduction to the club. In the last episode, we did all the introductory meetings, we met the squad, so if you didn't see that one, go back and check it out, because you will have missed a whole lot of Barnsley Football Club. I'll put the link in the eye above, and then come back when you're done. But for us today, we want to meet the rest of the team. Obviously for us in the head coach series, very important is the staff behind the scenes. The assistant manager, head of youth development and director of football if they've got them here. I'm not sure which ones are in place. We also want to look at transfer budgets and where we stand looking at the rest of the window. It's not so good unfortunately, but we've got a bit of wiggle room if we can get players out, which our chairman's already working on. So let's firstly go and have a look at the staff to see what's there at the moment. It's a little bit threadbare. A few have obviously left with the previous manager. We met the legend that is Andreas Winkler in the last episode. He's actually our assistant manager. He's a really good judger of player ability and really good mentally, but he is one of the worst coaches you will ever see. If we look forward to our under-23s, the youth team's being managed by Martin Devaney. I know he used to play here at some point. He did 6 years he spent at the club, so he knows the club inside out, and we're more than happy with that. A few interesting names amongst the scouts, in particular Danny Simpson, the former Leicester title winner from a few years back. He's not particularly good, but very adaptable, which isn't really important here. One thing I did pick up, and I don't know if it happened in the end of his career, it did. He finished his playing days at Getafe, which is why he's got such a good knowledge of Spain, and maybe that could help us moving forward, especially if we want to play liquid football. We've got a head physio, Craig Sedgwick. He's really talented, 19 ability, and again's decent mentally. And then another club legend, Bobby Hassel. He's the head of youth development. He's fairly decent at it, and he's got that professional personality which will help with youngsters coming through. The club's in a good state with that, so hopefully we can bring in some more quality players to go with the ones that came in the last couple of years. He's been the head of youth development here since 2015, so all of the players we met in the last episode that had come through at the club, he's the man that's responsible for them. So well done to him. Let's quickly go and have a reminder of those facilities. I'm not sure if we looked in the last one, but I need to check. Just average youth recruitment. I think that's probably why I was so surprised, but everything else is right up there, and we'll gradually improve them as we go on. For us this season, it's not about stamping our authority on the club. We just want to get through, get the job done, make sure we stay up, and then you'll see a raft of changes in the summer as we really try to put our style into the club and take them forward over the next year or two. So although we're excited about all the young prospects at the club, they won't necessarily all come in straight away. We'll try and do it over a phase period once we've got the essentials done. Remember, if we don't stay up, we'll probably get sacked and it will all be undone. So we've got to make sure we get the initial phase out the way, and then we can focus on what we really want to do. Moving forward, I can see this becoming a club I get attached to, a club that have got 3 or 4 brilliant youth prospects and some really decent players and facilities. They're ready to make that push to the Premier League. We just need to build a squad that's capable and make sure we're still in the Championship to start it. We were going to introduce training briefly, but we're going to have a look at that and our youth intake in the next episode, so we're not going to worry about that one just for now, as I know the first game at the club is something that's going to take a lot of energy. We've also got a couple of tactics to show and try and pick one for today's game. I think I've decided, but I'm not 100% sure. Finally, moving on to the transfers pre-match, we're actually 30 grand over the wage budget, which sounds a lot, but there's a few players who can go, although Jack Walton seems to have rejected Celtic, which is a very strange one indeed. We've got Declan John who's on the way out, a couple of loanees going. Lukas Jutkovic, we had a deal accepted for him, 170,000 to go back to Poland. He's on 6.5 grand a week, so he'll be going fairly sharpish. Ethan Ebanks-Lendl, he's off as well. 2 bids around 200,000. I'm not quite sure how much he's earning, so let's have a quick look. He's on about 7 grand a week, so that's fine as well. He looks a good player, but we want those 2 young centre-halves to get games. Look who our chairman's trying to bring in as director of football. Dougie Freedman, nonetheless. What a player he was. was. And what a director of football he looks like. I tell you what, that could be one of the best bits of business our chairman ever does. I'd love to get him in, and if he can bring some gems from Scotland, we'd be very much a happy man. We got Owen Jack in our other side with Torquay. I'd take another version of that down here, as striker seems the one position where we're a little bit light after the first 11. No news of any ins yet, as we're obviously miles above the wage budget, but we've got a decent squad at the club. It's just about shipping a few out so we can get the unhappy eggs out the club. We don't need the disruption, we just need a good core group who are perfectly talented enough to stay up. They just need to be happy. So let's have a look at the lineup and the tactics we've got at the club. We're going to go to our tactics screen quickly. We've set 3 up to be trained, the first of which is the one we're going to use today. The weakness is fullbacks, but wing-backs as it is in this occasion. We've lost Scott Malone and many others who are a bit tired. I don't know what's been going on here. The keeper's tired, so we've got our backup in goal. We've got Corley Woodrow, who's absolutely knackered. The same applies to Mowat and the right winger Armstrong. So this is the best we could come up with. We're training 2 other tactics as well. Fluid counter-attacking 4-5-1. We've got a holding midfielder on the bench, Scully, who looks really good. So when we're playing away from home against the higher sides, this is the formation we'll probably employ. It's something that we've used at Torquay to great success as we've reached the higher levels, and I think it could be useful again here. The other one we're training is the narrow diamond, something I watch every week as a Luton fan in real life, and again something we had a little go with at Torquay when we were trying to get out of League 2 in our other save. So it's something we've seen plenty of, it's just about building it in the right way. So it's vertical tiki-taka we're focusing on. We've got some really good technical players and they're quality pressers. They've got stamina and good work rate and can hopefully press the ball. So we're a little bit bad in the wing-back areas today, but both of the young centre-halves and the young midfielder Goodwin are getting their chance. 3 youth prospects in the team, hopefully something for the fans to get behind. I'm not expecting to win this game, but I'd quite like to get a point. Let's go through the lineup in more detail and have a look at the pre-match stats. Tottenham have won in the FA Cup, a competition Barnsley must have lost at the first attempt in. Cardiff are very slight favourites, although the head-to-head record's fairly even. As well as all those tired players, our first choice right wing back suspended and 2 of our first choice centre halves are injured. So we are a little bit depleted, and that's why the 2 youngsters are playing at centre back. We've got our sub-goalkeeper Allsop in goal. We'll introduce all the ones that we didn't see in the last episode. He's not particularly good, but he'll do a job for 1 game, and then Lumley will be back in the side. We've got Pask at centre-half, 3.5-star rating by Winkler. He's actually gone up in the last week. He's a natural ball player, so he's perfect for the middle of a free. You've noticed already with the 2 we've shown that they've got really poor training ratings, which is something we have to improve next week. We only joined yesterday afternoon, so we can't expect that to be our influence just yet. The other 2 sides are the 2 youngsters at the club. We met them briefly already. Burton, the 18-year-old, the left footer, and then Jackson, the 20-year-old, the right footer. Both got high potential and will play plenty of games. At right wing back we've got Flanagan. He was unhappy and transfer listed. He wants a chance in the first team. Well, now he's getting it. And then on the left we've got Dougal, a sub-central midfielder who can't play there particularly well. He'll do a job for today and then we'll move back to Malone once he's fit. Goodwin we've met in the middle with Garner, who's also quality. Ainsley in behind the front 2 of Keenan Davis from Aston Villa. He's coming in for the tired Woodrow, and he's alongside Adebayo up front. So we've got a dangerous front 2, and we've got some decent options off the bench if need be. We're not going to try and dominate games at this stage. We're going to stick to a balanced mentality just because I don't want the central midfielders getting caught too high, especially with poorer wing-backs at the club. The left wing-back's not particularly good and not a natural in that position, and the right wing-back's miles off the pace. So if we do work with this formation and it goes well, we'll certainly be upgrading the wing-backs next year. In transition, we're trying to counter and press extremely quickly, and we'll just see how it plays out on the pitch. If it doesn't work, we'll change it for the next game. Let's get into it and see if we can get a result in our first match. Some of their Premier League squad's still there, and they've got the likes of Chet Kouyaté on the bench, Harry Arter still there, Hugill the sub-striker, and they've also got Aaron Gunnarsson, so plenty of good players, though if any of them are still there, they must be ageing a little bit in some parts. We're going to tell them to end their poor run of form. They've listened keenly, but again we're back to that stage where we've got a slightly lower reputation on our squad and have got to win their trust all over again. That's not particularly heavy snow for my reckoning, but we've got the early running with a long ball over the top. It's not reached anyone, and the highlight ends with no damage to either goal. Nearly 5 minutes in, we got a free kick. Burton, the centre-half's a brilliant free kick taker, as well as being a brilliant young centre-half. He forces a save from the keeper, but it was easy enough. Flanagan throws the ball in. We've given it away on the edge of our own box. Luckily, they put it wide, but there's something that's got to change. These lads probably haven't been trusted in possession too much this year. They've probably just lumped it up to the 2 or 3 big men. We're trying to change that a bit, but not too much at this stage. Cunningham gets the ball to Reed. To the back post to Kachunga, and the former Huddersfield man scores. We're 1-0 down in just 12 minutes, and we're going to demand some more from the lads, because I'm not particularly happy with this start. We've had more shots and possession, but not done enough with it. Reed with a corner for them again. Burton clears away. No one's getting there first. Murphy brings it back out to Reed on the right. Into the middle. Dougal heads away. Full straight to Rules and now Patterson. Kachunga on the edge. Causing trouble again. Back to Joe Rules. Now Kachunga. Time to shoot again just over the bar. And we survive at 1-0. But we're living very dangerously in defence. We've got a free kick with Burton on the edge again. Oh, just wide of the post. I thought he was going to be a hero. An 18-year-old centre-half taking set pieces. There's so many things that are wrong about that, but he's by far the best at the club. Goodwin's got the ball. Can we make something happen in the middle? It's supposed to go vertical tiki-taka, but they're just going sideways. I don't know what's going on there. Garner back to Dougal again. The wing-backs just aren't good enough, but we've got to try and get by. Ainsley gets it back to Jackson. Jackson into the centre-half pass. He's the ball-playing defender, but doesn't make anything happen, just gives it straight back to him. We're back to the keeper Allsop and now Burton. Down the left-hand side for Dougal. 2 men in the middle if he can find them. Goodwin's in halfway. He finds Ainsley. On the spin to Adebayo. He's in one-on-one. Back to Garner on the edge. A brilliantly worked move, but an easy save for Smithies in the end, who tips it behind for a corner. But lovely football, and I'm pleased if that's a sign of things to come. The corner from Goodwin's terrible, but it's punched. Burton gets the ball back on the edge of the box. He's just got to keep possession and wins himself a free kick about 30 yards out. Will he have a pop from here, or will he put a cross in? He'll probably shoot. He's a youngster. Wants to see his name in lights, but that one's nowhere near, and it's a goal kick for Cardiff. A throw for Cardiff on the right-hand side. It's Patterson to Coyle. Patterson again back into his more familiar positions. Not playing up front as he has been in the Premier League in real life this year. Rules holds it up in the middle. 2 men closing him down, but it's overlapping on the left-hand side. Cunningham delivers towards the back post, and he goes all the way through everyone to Kachunga. Now Patterson plays a 1-2 with him. Kachunga's dominating this game so far. Rules and Coyle keep possession, and they're just all over us in attack. They might have had less possession and less shots, but they certainly look the more threatening side. We're just sitting free kicks on goal from everywhere. Rules knocks it down for Murphy again. On the edge of the box, beats a man, puts it in, and we're undeservedly 2-0 down. We're just not good enough at the back, and it looks like the back three's going to be exposed too much, as the wingers have been causing all sorts of chaos and scored both goals. We've got to half-time with no further damage. We're 2-0 down, and to be fair, Cardiff have had the better chances, although it's been a pretty even game. What has become clear is we haven't got a good enough defence to play a back three, so hopefully we'll be able to hold on in the second half, but I'm going to make some changes first. Okay, tactical changes galore. We've gone to our 4-1-2-1-2. We're just trying them out. I think this one will do a bit better as it protects the fullback slightly more. We put the 2 young centre-halves out to fullback and brought Ebanks Lendl on in the middle. Tom Flanagan was terrible. For an experienced man crying for first team football, I can see why he wasn't getting it. We're also bringing on Woodrow, the first choice for Keenan Davis. Yes, he's a bit tired, but we've got to try something. Dougal's still in a regista role, which I'm not too happy about. We'll change him to a defensive midfielder on support and get back into the second half, hoping for a miraculous comeback. We're also going to flick our mentality to positive. We've got to try and keep the ball. It's 4-on-2 in the middle, and hopefully we can dominate the game. Murphy coming forward for Cardiff immediately though, but it's deflected off the young fullback, and it's behind for a throw-in. On the left-hand side, it's Greg Cunningham to take it. In fact, it's Patterson to Cunningham. They've thrown me away there with their tactical changes. Burton heads the ball away as far as Coyle. Rules shoots from the edge, and Ainsley blocks it behind for a corner. The second half has continued where the first half left off. Dougal heads the ball away from the corner. Didn't even beat the first man. One of them frustrating ones for Cardiff, but they'll be happy with the game overall. A couple of minutes into the second half, and it remains 2-0. We've got a throw on the left with Jackson. He finds Adebayo. Out to Goodwin. Crosses to Woodrow at the back post. He's unmarked. And he's headed it straight at the keeper from 4 yards. That is awful. He shoots from the free kick, just wide of the post. He's overtaken Burton since he came on the pitch, but but he's wasted two brilliant chances, the first of which was an absolute sitter. Goodwin's got the ball in the middle to Dougal. Garner finds Ainsley. Remember, we've only got one trick up our sleeve now off the bench, so we haven't got many changes we can make. Kachunga wins it back and clears to Santini. He's put Bobby Reid in one-on-one. Terrible defending. Got done by one ball. And that's why Ethan Ebanks-Lendl is leaving the club. We accepted a transfer bid. The chairman was happy to let him go. And you can see exactly why, based on how easily he was done by that ball. An hour gone. It's 3-0 to Cardiff and a nightmare start. We've got a throw on the right with Jackson. It's quite weird, we've not played badly. It's been a really even game and we're still 3-0 down. Goodwin has a shot which is saved behind for a corner. We'll make the last change. Dougal off, Scully on. He'll be the first choice in this position long term. He's a deep lying playmaker and he's going to be on a defend duty just to pick up the ball and bring it forward. We'll take the corner kick. Hopefully we'll get to see it. We don't, so nothing obviously happens. Here's a throw for Cardiff on the left. Gunnarsson's on now, taking his long throws. That one wasn't quite as good. Coyle scored a screamer. We're 4-0 down at home to Cardiff, and this club's got more problems than I thought. The sub-keeper's not helping by letting shots in straight down the middle, but aside from that, we're missing a few players today. You can tell why the two centre-halves are so key. The right wing-back's important, as Jackson struggled out there in the second half, and Flanagan's just not good enough. If we can eke any budget left for one player, it's got to be a right back. And let's see if we can get one in, because that's going to be crucial. I'm a bit more worried after this game than I was beforehand, as it's a good young talented squad, but there's a lot of lacking confidence in the middle. Woodrow with a shot from the free kick. Deflects away to Jackson. As we've said, confidence is the big issue here. If we win one game, we'll win 2 or 3. It's just about getting one at the club. It's easier said than done, and we've got a lot of teenagers and 20, 21-year-olds at the club. Scully gets the ball into Garner. Goodwin, one of those youngsters with the ball. Hopefully the fans will stick with the lads as it is homegrown players, but they're only going to be so patient when you're losing 4-0 at home to relegation rivals. That'll be a 7-point gap to Cardiff now, and we're going to have a lot of work to do to get out of this. A mid-table finish is impossible, but hopefully we can stay up comfortably. I'm not too optimistic after this game, but I'm still not as worried as many of you will be after watching that game. We're disappointed with the performance. We'll get them motivated. We've got a week till we play our other rivals, Peterborough. They're down in 17th, and hopefully we'll be able to produce something better there and get most of the first team fit. We'll worry about all the other messages off camera in a moment. I just want to see what this one is. Pinnock's now one appearance away from triggering a permanent deal. That's a shame. I was looking for him to come back. He's a 3-star centre-half who looks really solid, but unfortunately it looks like he's staying at Falkirk. So that's more bad news to end the episode on, but let's go and look at our schedule for when we'll next be back. We'll play through the whole of February, try and pick up some wins and get the club back on side, finalise the tactic we want to play, and come back for one of those 2 big ones in the middle of March. Leeds and Southampton. It'll fit around our youth intake and we'll focus on training in that episode or the one after. But if you did enjoy this episode and meeting the second part of Barnsley off the pitch, please put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments which of the 3 formations you think we should play, or if we should do something completely different. The 5-2-1-2 has to be written off as we don't have good enough wing backs at the moment. We can work on that in the summer with our director of football, but for now we've got to go back to a back 4 and do something basic from that spine. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories. This one will be back on Monday after another episode of Part of the Furniture with Torquay tomorrow. We're coming towards the climax of season 5 in that one too, and we're up in the promotion chase, trying to get into the playoffs for the end of the season. There's also weekly content from our FIFA 19 lower league career, as well as our Newcastle FM19 Touch series, which we continued for one more year after Christmas. They were both out yesterday, so go back and check them out if you haven't yet. But a massive thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you next time.